Blessings, my brothers, my sisters. On today, I want to talk about, continue in the series of building intentional community. I'm outside on the campus of Shiloh Mission and Ministry Center. It's a wonderful day. Weather's great, so I decided to do this outside. In the book of Nehemiah, we are continuing in the book of Nehemiah. Yahweh consoles, or the consolation of Yahweh. Nehemiah's name is Yahweh consoles. And what I want to just highlight real quick is inside of the readings, when you see a name, look the name up so that you would understand the symbolic meaning of what's going on, that you can see not only on the surface level, but what is the meaning behind the name. Most of the time, there is a meaning behind the names that are used in the text. Ezra, Nehemiah once was one book. They are two separate books in the New Testament, in the Christian church, but in the Hebraic times it would be one book, Ezra, Nehemiah. And we see in the book of Nehemiah, Ezra being in service to the empire of the day. That Nehemiah, historically, the families of that region were carried off into subjugation to the empire of the day, the Babylonian captivity, and he's in service to the king or the emperor of that time. And so Nehemiah, Yahweh consoles, gives us a view into the action and activity of God through a man or a person in service to somebody who is the empire of the day. So I want to say that even when we are in captivity or in places and spaces where our bodies are subject to other people, God can still talk to us. That we are not bound in our spirits or in our minds or in our hearts. Our physical bodies may be in places and spaces that are captive to others, but our spirits and our minds can be in tune to God and what God wants to do. I'll say that. Nehemiah he inquires about the people in the land of Judah, and he hears a message in saying that the walls are torn down, the gates are burned, and again, we know that there is no protection, no safety, and so that there whatever comes and whatever goes, there is no security, no feeling of safety. And so he is so overwhelmed that he goes into prayer. Verse 4, he goes into prayer. Nehemiah goes into intercession. My brothers and sisters, if we're ever going to see change in our community, we must pray and intercede for our community. Prayer, again, is two-way conversation with God. Prayer is sending up from the bowels of our hearts into the heavenly spaces, and so that we can hear instruction from God. My brothers and sisters, not only does he go into intercession, he goes into intercession with intention. There is intention about the intercession. He goes into prayer reminding God of covenant. What is covenant? Covenant is a binding agreement between two parties. What is covenant? Covenant is the action and activity of God concerning God's people, and Nehemiah is reminding God of God's covenant, and that these two parties have an agreement, and that in the agreement, God states that God would take care of these people. And so that Nehemiah goes into intercession, talks about the covenant, and then after that goes into a position, continues on in his position of serving with a mind of being of use to God in partnership. Second thing I want to mention first was prayer and intercession. Second thing is that we partner with God for transformation in the earth. We partner with God for transformation in the earth. God uses or partners with humanity for the change that we want to see. Why are we not seeing changes in the earth? It's not because God cannot. It is because we have not positioned ourselves to put our hands in the hand of God, who has the ability and the action and the capability to make the change. We partner with God. God enables and sends us forth with not only our ability, but also God's ability, God's authority, God's power. We as individuals, as humanity, have power. We have power. We have the ability to do, to move things or cause things to happen, or we can have the power to restrict and restrain things. Why are we not seeing the manifestation of change or transformed communities? Because we have not used our collective power to cause things to change. We have allowed ourselves to take a position of I would say, I won't say just being lax or being relaxed or being in a position where we have looked at ourselves as defeated or in deficit places that we cannot cause change. You can cause change. You have the power. You have the power. And I hate to do this, but in the New Testament, it says that there was a lady who was going to an unjust judge. And because of her perpetual pestering of the judge, he made a decision based on her continued pestering, lest she continue to bug him. My brothers and sisters, we have power. And if we put our power in conjunction or in partnership with God's power, we will see the change that we would like to see in the earth. And I'm going to show it to you. So in this book, in verse 10, it says that he went into prayer and intercession for his community of his ancestors, of his birth. And he says, let your ear be attentive to your eyes open to listen to my prayer, your servant, which I pray before you day and night for my ancestors, the people who I come from. My brothers and sisters, we need to go into intercession for our communities, for our states, for our country, for the nations of the world. God can do miraculous things when we move into intercession. But I want to just move it a little bit forward. In chapter 2, it says that he was in service to the king of the time. He was in service to the king. He wasn't no preacher. He didn't have ordination. He wasn't a person who was in the synagogue or in the temple. He was in service to the king. He was a servant to the king. My brothers and sisters, to cause community change or community action or transformation, you don't need to be in the pulpit. You don't have to be the person in charge. All you have to do is have a heart to serve and serve God. This is what happened in the month of Nisan, 20th year of King Artaxerxes. When wine was before him, I took the wine and gave it to the king, and I had not been sad before in his presence. And when the king noticed that he was sad, he asked a question. And then he got a little concerned, because if the king decides that Nehemiah was overly concerned about his health, wellness, his life, the king could take his life or take him out of service, put him in prison. He could do anything with him because, again, he is a servant or a slave in the king's household. So he says, long live forever, king, verse 3. Why should I not be sad when faced with the city, the place of my father's tombs lie waste, and the fortified gates consume with fire? The king said to me, for what do you ask? So I prayed to the God of heaven. What do you ask? So I prayed to the God of heaven. What do you ask? So I prayed to the God of heaven. The king asked, what do you need for this situation? And he said, I prayed to the God of heaven. And then I said to him, if it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in his sight, I will ask you to send me to Judah, to the city of my father's tombs, that I may rebuild it. He said, send me on a mission. Send me on a mission. God has given me the skill, the tools, the ability, the capability to transform community or to build intentional community. Send me on a mission. I want to know how many folks are willing to go on a mission for community transformation. How many folks are willing to go on a mission for community transformation? My brothers and sisters, it's not just about you, but it's about God's plan for humanity. My brothers and sisters, it's not about you, but it's God's plan for community transformation. And this is the thing. First, it was intercessory prayer. Second is that he understood the covenant agreement or covenant between God and humanity, and that he operated in this space and place of covenant. And then he moves into action. But this is what I like about it. He didn't say, just send me there without resources. He asked for resources. Not only did he ask for resources, because it takes resources for community transformation. It takes resources for intentional community building. It takes resources, M-O-N-E-Y, my brothers and sisters, M-O-N-E-Y, to do what we need to do. It takes resources to do community transformation, but then also he asked for access or the authority to get things done that needed to be done. He asked for authority to get things done that needed to be done. My brothers and sisters, a lot of times we can't see the community transformation because we don't understand the levels of government or the levels of access that need to be accessed to get things done. So he not only asked for resources, but he asked for the authority to get things done. My brothers and sisters, I just want to say this. As we talk about community transformation, as we talk about intentional community development, let us remember that we must go into intercession, that we must remember covenant, and that we must move into spaces and places where we get access to resources and the authority necessary to do what we need to do. But this is the thing. This is the thing. I'm going to close with this. This is the thing. Yahweh consoles. Yahweh consoles. Yahweh consoles. And what I want to say with this is that this story reminds us that even though we find ourselves in spaces and places where we are enslaved or have been enslaved by systems of government, that Yahweh provides consolation, that Yahweh provides consolation, that there is a relief coming. There is relief coming. That there is relief coming with resources. That God is going to provide resources in that space where we have seen desolation, where we have seen devastation. God will send resources by God's people. My brothers and sisters, it is not about ourselves. It's not about us only, but it's about how we build intentional community. How we build intentional community. We want to see the drugs off the street. We want to see a different situation in our neighborhoods where there's no longer liquor stores on every corner. We must be able to transform our communities by not only God's power, but partnering with God and the way in which God intends for us to operate in the earth. Just a little short survey of Nehemiah chapter 1 and 2. A short survey. Go back and look at it. Let the word kind of mull it over. Let it stir your heart as what's his name, Country Wayne say. Let that sizzle in your spirit. Let it sizzle in your spirit about how you can partner with God for community transformation. My brothers and my sisters, I know I took a little longer time to get to it on today, but I just wanted to remind us that God consoles. God is sending relief. God is sending some community. Somebody is coming to help you transform your community. And maybe it's you. Maybe it's you. Maybe God is stirring your heart to raise up a community garden. Maybe God is stirring your heart to do an after school program. Maybe God is stirring your heart to do a GED program. Maybe God is stirring your heart to wash cars for the elderly, or take food to the elderly. Maybe God is raising you up to provide comfort or provide relief, to provide a release to those who are in bondage in this life. My brothers and sisters, God is able, again, to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask, think, or imagine, according to the power that works inside of you, that dwells inside of you, that stirs inside of you. That power that is in every one of us to transform this life for the betterment of humanity. We have that power inside of us. And hopefully that we will see that manifestation as we again put our hands in the hand of the God that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask, think, or imagine. Y'all be blessed. Take it easy. Peace.